All right. Welcome to the first roadshow edition of the Helpdesk podcast. Today we have George Hall, President of LINQ Services, with us. So we're happy about that. I think the easiest thing to do right off the bat, because this is a brand new format, is just to have George tell us a little bit about himself, where he came from. We'll get into what he does and some fun stuff.
Great. Name's George Hall, President. I'm a Leo. I like long walks on the beach and Dr. Pepper.
Same things I like.
Same thing, right? No, born and raised in Pennsylvania, moved down here in 1988. So I'm going to give you my first day in Maryland.
Okay.
All right?
Bring it
This is
on.
good. We'll start right here. Came down first day, met my boss, met my roommate, found a place to live, bought a truck, opened a bank account, and I was robbed of everything I had.
All in one day.
All in my first day in Maryland.
Wow.
So all I had left was $1,500. I even stole my clothes out of the truck. So there you go. So I had nothing left. Is that great?
How did day two go?
Day two, much better,
Okay,
because
good.
you can only go up from there. But so that was my first day in Maryland.
Interesting.
Been here ever since, so there you go. So it didn't deter me.
That's good. That's good. Wow. I don't even know how to come back from that. I think one of the things that it has always inspired me a little bit about you, attracted me to you, not in that way, is how you handle business, what you look for. And generally, I think you do a lot of equating it to sports. So if you can talk a little bit about what you look for in people, especially being president of a company, you know, what character traits you look for, what you don't like maybe even, but what makes the most attractive candidate and possible employee for you?
Yeah, sure. So huge sports guy. Football is my go-to sport. I have two boys, both played football. They didn't have a choice. No, I'm only kidding you. They absolutely loved it. But I really equate, business to sports.
Right.
It really is. And me being a football guy, it's a football team versus a business team. So from a staffing perspective, I'll go a couple ways. So one is just finding talent, right? Especially in today's world, staffing is challenging, right? Retaining and finding.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what type of the role is, it's just everywhere. So one of the things I look for in an interview is really 4 items. One is work ethic.
Okay.
2 is I look for the attitude. 3 is a team player. 4 is knowledge. Notice the knowledge was last because
Right.
if you can't teach or coach the first 3 things, they either have it or they don't, but knowledge you can teach. So knowledge is the least of the things I look at. And if they have a sports background, it's even better for me. And, in the sales world, I'm all about hiring athletes. It's almost like if you've seen Enterprise Rent-A-Car, right? They promote it, they hire a lot of college athletes. In the sales role, I definitely focus on athletes because they win, they lose, they know what it takes to come back out of that, and they're coachable, those kind of things. But in the other avenues, that's a bonus, but I look for those first 3. That's huge characteristics for me.
So maybe if you can explain, especially for the first one, the work ethic. I think
Yeah.
that's probably the hardest thing to ever really determine in somebody that you're trying to hire or even be friends with, work with, whatever. Is there something specifically about a sports background besides the winning, losing, being part of a
Sure.
team? How do you gauge that?
That's good. So maybe they didn't play sports, but from a work ethic, when I look at a resume and in an interview, you can uncover it. And the way I uncovered it is just talking about how they got to where they are today. And a little bit is maybe during school, right? They went to college and they had to work through college, right? To put themselves through college. Or they came from a background where maybe my family was in farming and I had to work, or some type of thing like that. Shows a little bit of characteristic of what their work ethic is to get through there. Sometimes you've heard people go, listen, I just didn't have the money, so I did it in 3 years or 3.5 years. And I'm like, whoa, they are committed. So you can uncover some of that in there, maybe by the jobs or whatever. What I definitely don't do is the hoppers, the jumpers, right? If they've jumped from job to job within a 2-year period, then they won't even make it to me. Yeah. Now listen, I don't interview many people anymore.
Sure.
We have a team that does that, but if I ever get involved or asked, those are the things I look for right there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think specifically about your background, maybe even outside of sports, and your first day here in Maryland, prepared you for where you are now? Because obviously, being president, you're in charge of a business. There's a lot of very specific things that go into that. But is there something that in your background that you can point to that helped you get to where you are?
Yeah, I'll start backwards actually. People will talk among there and that maybe they have a team of 5 or a team of 7 or whatever. For me, it's a team of 110 people. And I always look at it as I got to take care of and make decisions that affect 110 families.
Sure.
So I don't take my role lightly. So the decisions I make are usually based upon the entire company, never about one person. I have to make it about an organization. The second thing is, why do I make the decisions I do, and how did I get in this role? It really goes back to my upbringing. Started at working at 13.
Wow.
My dad came home one day and said, hey, I'm going to leave the MP grocery store, for those that are older, the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company.
I remember. I'm old.
Very large company. He left. He was there for ever and said, I'm going to open up this convenience store, and you don't go to college if we don't survive. So at age 13, we learned how to run a cash register right at the dining room table, which I was fascinated about. You hit the money drawer, opened up. Now listen, there was no money in there, but
Sure.
But I thought I could see the vision of this thing. Right? So I worked at the store at age 13, and I think that's really what started my whole work ethic and why I look at that. And then my dad, really how I handle people and talk to people came from my father. I just watched my father interact with clients, customers, the staff, the way he treated people. And he used to be up at 5 and work till 10 at night. And so, you know, I just watched my dad, how hard he worked to get to where we were, to help us to get through school. We still had loans and things like that to pay off when we get out, but it's just that work ethic really was instilled in me, and then how to work with people. And then I think, you know, yes, I did play football. For those that are also old, junior high.
Wow.
Right? Did you play football junior high?
Yeah.
Because it's not middle school, it's
No,
junior
no,
high,
yeah.
let's be honest.
We had a
right?
middle school, but we still had a team.
See, we did too. It was junior high team, right?
Pennsylvania, so
Yeah.
different.
So played football PA and played in high school, and then went on to college to play. If it's okay, pretty funny football story here.
Bring it on. I
My
like it.
freshman year. So you come from a school where you're the man,
Right.
and then you go to college and you're not the man, because
Yeah.
everybody was the guy.
Yes.
Right? They were all county, everything. But I am the man, so I'm going to show people I am the man. So I'm so excited. Freshman, I get put on the kickoff team, which is, you know, awesome. No freshmen really play.
Yeah.
So I am going to make my mark. So I am on this kickoff team. They kick off. I'm running down there. I'm squaring up. I'm going to get this guy. He is dead to rights. I got him. The next thing I remember is looking at the blue sky with one eye. And what I realized is I still had both eyes. I was actually looking out my ear hole because I got hit so hard. We called that a balorful. And when you get balorful, that means they're going to show the rest of the 100 players on the team how bad you played on that position. That really built my strength of taking criticism.
Nice.
So, you know, back then, they were not afraid to criticize you in front of everybody. Oh, yeah, they let you know. And I remembered that moment that I was going to actually work harder, be smarter, and listen to the critics out there to teach me. So that kind of built me up to where I am today, and learned to live that. And I try to instill some of those things into here.
Like you said, you can be the best in anything. The next level is a whole different story.
Totally. And I think, you know, that equates into the career world too, right? Sometimes with maybe some of the younger people, they were given everything and they haven't had to earn as much. And sometimes it's a good lesson for them.
One of the other things that I know that you're into is charity. So before we specifically talk about There Goes My Hero, maybe you can tell us a little bit either about why charity is so important to you and giving back, or what got you into it.
Sure. Again, I was blessed with a great family. My parents, my mom was church secretary, and she was a little bit of an entrepreneur in the dress. She was in the women's fashion business, so I had a clothing store. Again, growing up in rural Pennsylvania, a lot of people say rural Pennsylvania, but they're the suburb of a city. You know, we grew up in the Allegheny National Forest. We had no movie theater. We went to the drive-in.
Interesting.
So no fast food. It was the Tasty Freeze, right?
Wow.
So, you know, family and community really became part of who I am today, and I learned that from my dad. He was always volunteering and doing things for community and the school and things like that, and that became important for me about giving back. People that know me, I'm always about, I always say 50% of your life should be learning, 40% should be doing, and 10% should be giving back. But the 10% shouldn't be at the end. It should be through your whole life. So it's very important for me to give back to community, whatever it is. So There Goes My Hero is important to me, and I'm actually the president of the board. Okay. My first day as president of the board was March of 2020. We all know what that was. So that was, I literally inherit, I get sworn in as the president, and it's like, how many months do we have left before the money runs out?
You can't do
right?
anything, right?
So that's a challenge.
Yeah.
I'll fill my term through March of 2023, and we're stronger than ever thanks to our board and the team. But we provide hope to families and those impacted by blood cancer, whether it's leukemia or multiple myeloma. And for me, I wear these two bands. My father died of leukemia. My sister's battling blood cancer. Okay. So for me, it became even more of a passion because my family's been affected by it. But it's not the only reason I chose that. So we try to register people on the bone marrow registry. Okay. Especially one of our initiatives is Color the Registry, because people of color have a less chance of finding a match, only a 25% chance. Those of European descent, 75%. So we're really trying to get out there to push Color the Registry. It's one of our big mantras and pushes to try to get people of all ethnicity to register on the bone marrow to save a life.
So how do you get involved? But then two, how do you find matches? What's the process for that?
It's real easy. The swabbing part is you have to be under 55. I'm 56, so I'm officially out. I know. It's 18 to 55. Our founder, he was impacted. He was getting ready to have a child, was sick, went into the hospital, and they said, hey, you have leukemia.
Wow.
And you have a son being born in 2 weeks. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, that's
so he was saved by an 18-year-old girl in Germany. So that's an amazing story. Ends up going to her wedding almost 10 years later.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. So he was passionate about, let's try to find people to register. So it's literally a swab in the cheek with a Q-tip, and then you're registered on the list.
And that's an international list?
It's international, yep. So Be the Match, people have heard of that one, Be the Match. We're part of that community where they all go to one registry. There's one registry that holds them all. You only do it one time. And then if they find you, they will do some screening. So maybe you change your mind at the time, or something's different in your family and you may not be able to do it. Right. But they look at the matches and the percentage match with them. And then you go in, and depending on what they're looking for is the procedure. But,
interesting.
But they take care of everything financially for you, which is cool.
Before I get into some of the gotcha questions I got for you at the end here.
Oh yeah.
LINQ is here in Baltimore. So I wanted to ask you specifically, having lived here for a very long time, what do you see Baltimore as right now? Like, LINQ's location, and we can share all this later on, is just across the street, or actually probably in Port Covington, which is a huge build-up and kind of new areas. What do you think when you think of Baltimore?
Yeah, so when I moved down here in '88, the reason I moved here was opportunity. Growing up, there wasn't not much opportunity. Most of my friends from high school are loggers. So somebody marks the logs, cuts the logs, skids the logs, you know what I'm saying, right? Plywood, river, they're the guys on TV that climb those logs, right? So for me, it was about opportunity. So for me, I look at Baltimore, I look at Maryland, it's just opportunity. I think since I've been here, it's become more of a technology city, and that excites me. And I think there's opportunity and talent. You asked me earlier on about finding talent. I think the talent pool is great here. So the reason we chose Port Covington, honestly, we were here early, right? We are technically part of Port Covington, and we're watching it grow beside us, which we're excited for. We know that the 5-year, 6-year plan of the development here, I think for us is going to find even more talent. It's also a good central location, I think. Baltimore, some people live south of the city because maybe one spouse works in D.C. or Northern Virginia, so that's good. And then I'm a Hartford County guy, and that really grew in the last, since I've been here in '88, it just doubled in size. So I think there's opportunity. I look at Maryland as opportunity, great talent, and technology. So we have an office in Pittsburgh, and we have an office in Las Vegas as well. But I love our headquarters being right here.
I love it. So let's start off with an easy one to kind of wrap this up.
Bring it.
M&M's, favorite flavor?
Favorite flavor of M&M's, I usually go blue. Yeah, I don't know why.
So I'll tell you this, we do an internal podcast at Integris. And these are some of the questions we always ask.
I love this.
Peanut M&M fan?
I am a peanut M&M. Here's the irony. I watched The Lost City last night because I'm a movie guy. You asked me what else I do. I watch a lot of movies. So I watched The Lost City last night. And I'm trying to lose some weight. So I counted out 20 M&Ms last night. And they were peanut M&Ms. And I put them on a plate. And the last ones to go were blue because I just waited. I don't know why the blue just pops. I'm not even like, blue's not even my favorite color. I just don't know why it is like that, right?
I love it. So here's the one that generally doesn't get me in trouble, but people call me out on.
Jolly Rancher, watermelon, then apple. No, go ahead.
No.
Sorry.
In the shower.
Okay.
So we're getting personal. Bar soap or body wash?
So I was a bar soap guy, but my wife and kids have totally ruled the house over the years, so now it is the liquid soap, which is a genius business model, let's be honest. Because you go through liquid soap.
Like nothing.
3 times as fast. So you're buying 2 bottles of liquid soap for every bar of soap because you're speeding the process.
That's where I'm at.
Are you a bar soap guy?
Oh, yeah.
Because it lasts forever. You still have the ivory from when you were like 18.
Yeah, and the co-host on the internal podcast we do says bar soap's only for serial killers.
All right, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you a loofah guy or a washcloth guy?
I got to go washcloth.
Yeah, same here.
And then part of it goes back to the same kind of thing as the bar soap.
Yeah.
You have to keep buying loofahs.
Totally.
Just wash.
And it's like sandpaper.
See?
It hurts.
It does.
Right, okay.
Gentle skin for us
Yes,
big guys.
totally.
So, George, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. We'll put some information out there about LINQ as well.
I love it. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, take care.